This is the Intuitive Leadership Mastery Podcast. What would it take for you to double your profits and half your stress with your intuition? Learn how with your host, Michael Light.
Welcome back. I'm here with Elaine Nieberding, and she has an amazing career and lifetime. Has gone from the medical field, now she has a coaching business, and has a lot of experience in applying intuition to her business. Welcome, Elaine.
Hey there, Michael. And I am greeting you from Bel Air, Maryland, USA, but I spell Maryland Merrryland.
Because it's Mary.
Ha ha ha.
Well, I can see.
I think we're going to have fun in this conversation.
I think so, and I know that we're going to, as we talk, we're going to find out about your experience in the laughter yoga movement and how that can be applied to business, and then also your experience working many years healing people in the medical area. Which, I think a lot of those lessons can be applied back to business. So I think this is going to be very interesting. So how do you use intuition in, creating a new business?
The way I use intuition is honoring all of my capacities for knowing. I would say the most common way people think they glean answers is from their mind, from their thought. And certainly we do go through processes of becoming aware. Oh, what's my problem? What's my challenge? And then opening up. I am looking for a solution, an answer. And it could be the name of my business. If one like me is transitioning into a new form of business, it's a myriad of questions. What best expresses my heart and soul, and what's the best way that I can serve the world at this time in my life? And then we feel into that. Where we are now is always at the delivery point from everything that's come forward. Our successes, what we thought of as successes, or what we have deemed as failures. But if we come from a state of expanded awarenesses, I come to realize everything along that way has been a part of my beautiful journey, has enriched me. And so I could say in my adult life, I've seen my expansion of using not just, again, my brain, my thinking to inform my decisions. I've seen a gradual expansion of, my whole body awarenesses. What things catch my attention? What am I really curious about? And so now, as I am forming questions about the evolution of my own business, if I just give myself a minute to be still and say, how can my curiosity inform me here? And if I let go of grasping for the answer, but if I move into this place of trust where really the best answer is going to appear at the right time, then I can relax. And for me, Michael, I have to say that actually, as I have gotten into that place of relaxing, the forms of my life and service often have made dramatic changes and shifts because of a confluence of synchronicities that have happened.
So
you how's that for starters?
That's great. So you talked about relaxing and trusting that your intuition will provide the answers you need for the problems you have in your business. And I know a lot of people listening would love to be able to do that, but they're really not sure how to even take the first step to trusting their intuition.
I think sometimes it's helpful to have a guide. The guide can take the form of a book. The guide can take a form of a friend or a mentor or a model that seems to, have deepened in that sense of trust. Mm-hmm. So for me, one of the times when my sense of intuition greatly expanded was when I was journeying through the practice of Yasui Reiki. Now, Reiki is well known as a healing modality, but in its deepest form, it really is a spiritual practice, and one where we're looking at, who am I? and what is the experience of energy that gives me life? And how can I be curious to feel into this life force energy that animates me? And how can I experience a sense of connection with really everything about me and whoever I'm in a relationship with in a new way, in energetic forms? A few minutes ago, I mentioned the key shifts in my life, in my adult life, that related to my work and service happened with synchronicities that I could not have planned. And it was like this that Reiki blew into my life. I ended up in Florida on a vacation, reuniting with a girlfriend from high school, and that reuniting happened because of a quirky circumstance my brother had, getting in touch with this woman's husband in the quirkiest of ways. He hadn't been connecting to my friend or her husband in quite a long time. But when I was down on a vacation with this friend, there happened to be other friends of mine from Maryland who were in the same area in Florida at the same time that I happened to be. And so one of these friends said, "Hey, I just took this course learning about Reiki, this relaxation, natural healing thing from Japan, and I'm looking to practice on people." And so after we got together and were swimming, then I went up to this apartment and experienced Reiki for the first time. And I had kind of a revelatory experience during Reiki. And there was a healing presence that spoke to me, and basically I very clearly knew that I was to become very curious about Reiki and bring this practice into my life. And I was energetically changed from that point on. And so it was basically 6 to 7 months, I was doing a lot of practice with this healing art, treating myself, extending this flow of energy. I could say I would be in relationship with another, offer my hands, my physical presence, and whoever I was with would then receive this energy. And it would go wherever within their body, mind, spirit complex to bring a blessing so that things would come into greater harmony and balance.
Well, that sounds like a great ability to have, in any business that you're running. the fact that just your presence inspires and shifts where people are.
And so that early practice, Reiki is often taught in 3 levels, where you're having different kinds of understandings at each level of practice. At the second level of practice, that was when I was conducting sessions, I would find myself experiencing imagery, colors, visual images, sometimes words to a song or a melody associated with a song. And at the end of a session, I would kind of ask my highest sense of wisdom, is it appropriate for me to share these experiences with my client? And most often I would say yes, but then I would always couch my descriptions with, oh, these were experiences I had during my healing session work with you. Perhaps some of them will have meaning to you. And by gosh and by golly, I would be astounded at how many times the image that appeared to me really had relevance to the issue, a primary issue that was going on with the person that hadn't even been verbalized to me. And I'll give you a little example. So I was doing a treatment on a woman, and at some point, my hands, maybe they were resting over her heart or solar plexus. I don't exactly remember. But I saw this image of a jewelry box. And this was the style of jewelry box that was common when I was growing up in the 1960s. If you were a young woman, you might have a jewelry box when it opened up, and there was like a little ballerina that popped up. And if you had twisted the little winder, it would twist around. So I had this image of this jewelry box like opening up, and here's a little ballerina twirling around. And I shared this image with the client, and she said, Elaine, that image is so poignant to me. And she recounted how when she was starting to enter puberty, her body changed. She was of Italian descent, and she had very dark hair, but she then started showing a lot more facial hair. So she, facial hair as well as like darker hair on her arms. And somehow the way she was looking, she perceived that, when she was going to dance classes, she was not fitting the image of the ballerina that somehow would fit or that would be accepted. And however this reflection came back to her, it interrupted her progression and joy in being in relationship with her body in a meaningful, expressive way. And so at this point, for the woman who was my client, this whole thing was a big awakening for her to come back to terms with, I really am a dancer, and find her path back to self-expression, self-love, by allowing that expression to come alive again. So for me, once again, I saw the image, I shared it with her, I got validation. If I had gotten no response from her, I would have said, well, perhaps this image or these things that came to me during this session will ring a bell with you at some later point in time. And at that point, I'm not attached to whether these gifts that I have received will have meaning for her or not. I just offer it to her as a gift. But because I was willing to share my experience, open my mouth, I got validation that what I was receiving had some meaning. And so I would actually say it was during that part of my life when I was beginning to practice Reiki that I really began trusting things that came in other forms out of beyond, ordinary thinking, beyond my conditioned awarenesses.
So what ways do you access your intuition? You mentioned you get images, you get feelings in your body. Are there other ways you receive your intuition?
Sometimes I'll notice things that catch my attention. So let's say I'm on a road trip, and while I'm on this road trip, I happen to see, signs that have the word horse on them. They might be names of businesses, or they might be horse images, and I have an awareness. Horse. Oh, here's horse again. Here's horse again. So and that kind of thing has happened multiple times for me in my life. So then I just get curious, not grasping or pounding my fist on the desk. What in the hell does this mean? Instead, I ask, I keep seeing this. So what meaning could that impart to me? And then I might journal or something, just noticing what ideas come to mind. Well, I haven't actually had too many experiences around riding horses myself. I've seen them. But when I think of horses, I might think of, wow, they have a lot of power. They often run races, or humans will have them to run races. In earlier times, they were a primary form of transportation for humans and other things. So I might examine things like that and then have one idea register with me. And then somehow, again, just get curious. How is this image helping me to claim my own power? Or maybe get curious and say, this symbolism of horse is really empowering me now to get started with a gentle trot, but hold on to the reins, if it starts going really fast. So that's an example.
Well, that's a great thing to be aware of in our life and our business, to look out for symbols that just keep coming back to us, or animals or birds that we see in nature are another way to receive that information. So I know I certainly get a lot of symbolism from the animal world. So I know when we were talking earlier that you mentioned that when you were in the nursing field, you used your intuition and your consciousness to improve how you help people in that work. I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about that.
What I would like to share is that I went into nursing in my early 50s. And this was after I had been a practitioner and teacher of this healing art, Reiki. And so it was because of dramatic experiences I had offering Reiki and guided imagery to a family member who was dying of cancer. I had such vivid experiences. It then prompted me to thinking, do I, is there something do I want to go back to school? Actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit in this story because it also relates to intuition. I had this Reiki practice. I was successful enough working out of, Lent workspaces to lease an office, beautiful little office in my town of Bel Air, Maryland. And yet I was in my early 50s. I was going through hormonal changes associated with menopause. And here I was in this new space. I had gone back and forth to North Carolina to assist my, this family member with a health crisis. And when I got back to this space, this beautiful space, I went into this space and I felt like it's too small. There are things going on in my body, and it's like, I know this space is beautiful. Logically, this is perfect for my business. But with what's going on in my body, I feel like I need to be physically moving or something. And that's when this idea of nursing came to me. I thought, I love variety. I love helping people. And given what's going on biochemically with me during these hormonal changes, actually, I think something with a lot of structure would be good for me now, because my brain was feeling crazy, even though I knew how to practice Reiki. And so I thought maybe I should go back to school. When I brought it up with my husband, who is very much the logical, linear, scientific, practical, grounded guy, and he's hearing me mention going back to school for nursing, he's thinking, nurses, trusted, nurses, income, like more income. So he validated the idea. And then on the day when I started investigating what schools were in my area, would I want to go back for an associate's degree in nursing or for another bachelor's degree? And so I was beginning to get clear on that as I did a little research, and then I was led to go look for a box that I kept old report cards and transcripts in. So there I was, I was fouling my sense of flow and timing and intuition. And as I opened this box, lo and behold, I experienced what looked like a miracle to me. There was a lone picture in this box full of papers and transcripts and things like that. And it was a picture of me at age 5 holding the hand of my great Aunt Theta, who I was meeting for the first time. And she was a nurse and a missionary. And my jaw dropped. I was like, I have no idea how this picture got in this box, but this is my confirmation for proceeding with nursing. And so then, I was in school for a couple years, and I had challenges. It was not easy. But when I came out, I really knew that this was going to be a place for great learning and great gifting of myself. After a year of bedside nursing, I ended up in a Catholic hospital where I then felt at home because of the institutional vision and mission. And they actually used the words in it about being a healing presence. And I said, oh my God, I'm really in the right place. They're using these words. And as I share this, I encourage people as they are creating their own business visions and missions, they are very powerful for drawing in the right people to connect with, the right people to hire. They will align with ultimately, what your business is about and who you're serving.
Uh-huh.
But nonetheless, here it was, this thing about being a healing presence. And I said, I've landed at the right place. And then I did go to work in oncology, which, is all about cancer care. And I thought, this is where my strength is, really helping people with the spiritual, emotional, and mental dynamics that often emerge when people they're basically looking at their own sense of mortality, often in a new way when they're confronted with a cancer diagnosis and journey. And so at the same hospital, while I was there, I got a board certification in holistic nursing, which was no easy task. So I then gained a credential. And because I had this credential, I was then invited to participate on a committee in the hospital that was, whose vision was to gain for the hospital an excellence in nursing status, earning magnet status. So I was invited to be on this committee to help communicate to the nursing staff what the nursing practice committee had decided was the nursing practice model that most aligned with this institutional vision mission of, people fully experiencing being comforted, being cared, and met right where they are. And that staff would be, bringing forth to their own leading edge, their own sense of a healing presence. Well, the nursing practice model, which was identified by our nursing practice committee, was the model of this woman who I will call a nurse luminary. Her name is Dr. Jean Watson. And she put, over a body of work of over 30 years, developed this thing called caring science. And at its foundation was how we experience relationship. And she actually called it transpersonal caring relationship. So as I'm getting familiar with Jean Watson's nursing practice model, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is such an awake woman. And this hospital has chosen this very awakened model for nursing practice. And here I am, I get to be a teacher, of this. And it basically suggests when you walk through the doorway to care for a patient, the thing you need to remember as you walk through this door is you have this core of you, your core of love, your core of goodness, whether you want to call it spirit, your divine self, your highest sense of wisdom, whatever you want to call it or name it. If you remember that walking through the door, that is your highest sense of identity, and that beyond the name, the diagnosis, and, all of the obvious physical manifestations of toil and trouble going on with the patient, if you remember that stuff of you, that spirit stuff of you, soul stuff of you, wisdom stuff of you, is within that patient too. If you remember that, when you walk through that door, you will be empowered to say the right thing, know what to do, know how to position yourself without thinking everything through, because you'll be making a connection at the most important level.
Let's just paraphrase that, because I think this applies not just to nursing. I think this applies to all business situations. If you're hiring someone, if you're having a sales meeting, being connected to your spirit self, connected to the light, as I would call it, and seeing that other people are connected to the light, and then using that to just intuitively do the right thing instead of having to think through every detail, is a very powerful way of being in business.
It does. It is the way to be in all relationships. Now, I happen to be a longtime student of, a spiritual text called A Course in Miracles. And it's the same idea. It's like seeing the other as yourself, being genuinely curious to be of service, to be a healing presence, kind of asking, how can I truly be helpful here?
Mm-hmm.
And if you put yourself in that position and trust in this sense of flow of information, it's as you are the deliverer of services, goods, information, the truth is you're always being blessed with feedback, with exchange in the form of money, information, awarenesses that come to you. Are you able to hear me okay? I'm just noticing a little bit of
yeah, I can hear you fine.
Energetic.
Let me
okay.
Let's just restart. Okay. So that's an amazing insight, that seeing your spirit self and the people you're working with in business, seeing that they are their spiritual selves too, and then that leaves everything just flowing so much better in all the interactions and relating that we do in business.
And actually, that leads to the whole idea of being emotionally intelligent. Because if you're grounded in that awareness, truth, you're much more likely to hear the questions, the responses, the needs being made known by, your client, your prospective employee, from a place of defenselessness rather than defendedness, or from a place that says, oh my God, I better say the right thing, to meet with their approval.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when you're operating from that place, you're kind of saying, everything that I need, it's a place of abundance. It's like everything that I need is going to be, I'm going to be able to access it at the right time, whether it's words, whether it's monetary resources, whether it's the right employee. And when we stop being in that place of scarcity, it's like stuff tends to show up, like the right people at the right time. And so, that connecting with those other environments, groups, individuals from this place of the holy greeting the holy, or the whole greeting the whole, then interactions tend to flow much easier. Mm-hmm. And one can experience them without the angst that might otherwise be present. So cultivating that consciousness is a good thing to do.
It is a great thing to do. I mean, I talk about it as connecting to the light, both myself and other people in my business. And it's so simple, and yet it is very profound, and it totally changes how I am in my business and how my business succeeds. So I know... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, you mentioned you were pretty deeply involved in the laughter movement. I can't even say it. Laughter yoga movement. And you had, in fact, a whole show running, the Holy Shift show. And I'm kind of curious, how, from your involvement in that, how important is laughter in business?
Laughter and being able to look at any circumstance or condition with fresh vision is a very, very helpful thing to do. Now, laughter yoga, for those who may have not heard about this practice, it's like an intentional health and wellness practice where one decides to engage with laughter without using jokes, humor, or comedy. Now, when you think about it, young children often laugh freely, spontaneously. In fact, we know that babies, if you're around a little baby will start laughing naturally around 2 to 3 months old. Think about it. They're not laughing because they get jokes. They are laughing from the joy of being alive. And typically, as we grow up in our human life, we're then exposed to more and more cultural conditioning, where then it says, oh, well, this is funny, or that is funny, or laugh at this, but don't laugh at that. You might be in certain environments. Oh, it's not appropriate to laugh there. So in laughter yoga, we laugh on purpose, intentionally, because the act of laughter both makes for social connection and it physiologically changes our body, which is amazing.
How does it change our body, Elaine?
If you are exposed to laughter yoga on a video in a conference setting, there are actually teachers and leaders of laughter yoga that actually go into business settings now and lead laughter exercises with work teams or at conferences to help shift people out of their rigid ways of doing things and relating things to, and relating to each other. So, for example, go ahead.
Well, it sounds like it opens people up to more creativity, to be lighter-hearted, and just to see new possibilities, and also just not to take themselves so seriously.
That's it. And sometimes in the business arena, we find our work demands, the schedules, the money flow issues we have, getting us worried. And it is especially when we do find ourselves getting stressed that making a decision to employ some intentional laughter can be really helpful for shifting the body chemistry. So let's say, you've seen laughter yoga on a YouTube video, or you've been to a session where a laughter yoga leader came in, and you kind of see how it goes. By the way, it's called laughter yoga because these playful laughter exercises are interwoven with pranayama. That's the yoga part, which is just deep breathing. So if I was doing a laughter exercise just called a greeting laughter in Hawaiian, it might be aloha. So I might raise my arms, alo, and then I take a deep breath in, I raise my arms, and then on the exhale, I'm going to go ha, aloha, ha, 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 ha. Hello. And I've then fully oxygenated my body.
And it tends to go into a laughter, for want of a better word, a laughter fit, where you just can't control it anymore and you just have to laugh and let out the tension.
Well, yeah. What when people are in laughter yoga, in a setting where someone is doing laughter yoga, they often think, laughing on purpose, I don't get this. And so a laughter yoga leader will even say, look, just fake it till you'll make it. Because when you start engaging the diaphragm with the laughter and refreshing yourself with full oxygenation into your lungs, you start feeling better. Plus, in the same way that if you see someone yawning and then you start yawning, there are mirror neurons in the body that kind of trigger that happening. The same thing actually happens with laughter. When you start hearing laughter, it actually stimulates things within your body, which will make it easier to laugh and to sustain your laughing. So again, it doesn't require a joke to laugh, and we can gain these benefits if we're laughing for, say, 8 or 10 minutes, kind of sustained, doing some of these different funny little exercises. Then the chemical processes, the hormonal changes start happening, which include stimulating our immune system to work more effectively, stopping the production of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So, like, start doing some laughter yoga when you're stressed. It will shift the production of cortisol, and you will start feeling better.
So this will mean you're healthier, but it will also mean you'll be able to be clearer and come up with better solutions for whatever business problem you're facing.
And if you're doing this with the work team, and after they see a couple laughter yoga exercises that the laughter yoga leader leads, it might be, we're drinking a laughter milkshake. We're doing laughter greeting. Then the laughter yoga teacher might say, okay, just throw out a word or a topic and we'll make a laughter exercise about it. So then they might. And so one might be my to-do list. Okay? So you might just hold your left hand out and with your right hand have an imaginary pen. And as you write out your to-do list, oh my God, keep thinking of how many things are on this to-do list. But every time one comes to mind, you're just going to laugh. So you're deep breathing. And then, there's that one too. And I wonder how many things I'm going to get done today. Oh, God, help me. And surely so-and-so is likely to interrupt me. Well, okay. So you bring up another topic and another topic and another topic, and within your work team, and everybody often recognizes the kind of things that they struggle with, you can come to recognize, you know what? Let me breathe, smile, laugh, and kind of shifting into the thought or intention, we'll get through this. We'll get through this too, and maybe we can even be creative about it as we're less stressed. We've done something acknowledging, hey, I am stressed, but let me bring laughter to it, not laugh at it, but bring laughter to it, shift my body chemistry, and if I'm doing this in a group, well then, that healing shift can be there for everybody. And opening up to bringing more play, creativity, in the workspace.
I think that's an amazing insight, to bring laughter to work and to use it to release stress. But also, I imagine after laughing at our to-do lists for the team, we probably get a bunch more done, more effectively.
Well, and maybe as you've done that, you've set the intention. Yeah. And align with that intention. I could get through this day with more fun, joy, creativity.
Well,
and wouldn't that be a great way to, start the day? It's like it's those conscious intentions and decisions.
Well, and how I would put that is, what would it take to have these tasks go with joy and creativity and success? So, and put it in the form of a question. Put the intention into a what would it take question, and see what inspiration I get from that.
So for your listeners who are listening, if they do a Google search for, laughter yoga leaders for business, just type that in Google. And there are some people that is their professional specialty. Mm-hmm. And they go out to work sites, or they do workshops, in the work site setting, or they, they're invited to be a part of a professional business association or professional association group or conference. So that's one way that people can experience it. And then there are other individuals that produce lots of even individual use YouTube videos to learn and experience the practice. So there's a lot out there that is even free, as well as what are called public laughter clubs. And that's what I started doing when I started on in this practice in 2011.
So I just want to cover one other thing before we wrap up this interview and discussion. You mentioned some work you did with Danielle Laporte and how you're using this currently to help people attain their goals and to enjoy the journey that they have in their business goals. And I thought that was very interesting. I'd love to share that.
Sure. Well, in 2013, as I was winding up what I knew was going to be the period of my active service and bedside nursing, and I knew I was heading into an entrepreneurial health and wellness arena, I heard about this thing called Google Hangouts, and I thought, Google Hangouts, getting to have a platform where I could share things that I'm excited about with the world. That sounds like something I would like to do, because I'd already had some experience in performance in a variety of ways, but also public speaking and teaching Reiki and other health and wellness things. So I learned how to do Google Hangouts, and one of my instructors invited me to participate on a Google Hangout that was featuring the New York Times best-selling author Danielle Laporte. She was getting ready to publish a new book called The Desire Map. And she already had a large following of readers and people who really appreciated the type of inspirational, helpful information she was sharing. So there were apparently 500 people that had come forth saying, responding to an invitation she had made, saying, I'd like for there to be book clubs where people can get together and share the gems of wisdom in this new book called The Desire Map. And basically, what the book was about was helping each individual person discover the feeling states that they would most likely to be in. And a quote of hers that I share often is, the journey has to feel the way you want the destination to feel.
Now that sounds very important. Let's just hear that again.
The journey has to feel the way you want the destination to feel.
So I think so many business people don't do that. They have these dreams, they have this goal, they think they're going to feel on top of the world when they're making a certain amount of money, or they've won a certain big client, or they've assembled the certain star team of employees, or whatever their goal is. And yet, while they're spending all those days and months reaching that goal, they don't feel great. They imagine they're going to feel super wonderful when they've got to that goal, when they're earning $1 million or 10 million or whatever their goal is. But they don't feel the same way during the journey. So you're saying it's important we feel that same way in the journey.
I'm saying we can make that choice to do that. There are a lot of coaches and systems out there encouraging people to get a clear vision, for what it is they want to achieve, creating this company, completing this project, serving a particular population in a way. So a helpful coach might help someone envision that and feel that. And, what would you be thinking at that place? What would you be feeling? What would you be doing? How would you be standing, at that place of success or achievement? And if you really notice the feeling states at that place of achievement, and if you do this exercise and have an intention to remember that feeling or those sets of feelings, then Danielle Laporte would say, why wait till the achievement of the goal to have those feelings? Decide when you get up every morning, that's the vibe I want to be in. That is the vibe I want to bless the world with today. And as I choose to allow those feeling states or cultivate those feeling states, actually that, I believe, is what collapses time in this, you could call it an achievement journey or a result journey of seeing something, you might say come into form in a physical way. But why not make the choice to be in joy now anyway, to be in a state, of abundance consciousness now anyway, to feel in a state of gratitude or inspiration or focus or, whatever it is, whatever that feeling state would be, you can claim those. And then like anything else, just say, oh, well, this is a choice to make this my practice. And that way, you'll likely begin to feel, I am giving as much blessing to the world right now, even before the business is launched, the dollar goal is met, and I will be enjoying my fulfillment all along the way. I won't be delaying it. That's the essence of what she's saying, with the journey has to feel the way that you want the destination to feel.
So I think that's very powerful for several reasons. Firstly, I'd much rather feel wonderful throughout the journey than feeling like it's a struggle and I'm suffering to reach the goal. Why not be celebrating throughout the journey? Secondly, I love how you're saying that collapses time on this, and I'm just feeling this creates the goal faster by getting into that end goal state during the journey. And thirdly, it just helps enroll other people in the journey. Often in business, it's not just us on our own creating the goal. We have a team of people. We've enrolled clients in it. We may be enrolling people in the press or bloggers or whatever in the journey. And the more we can vibrate with the energy of the goal achieved, the easier it is to enroll other people into whatever our journey is and the goal is.
Bingo. That is it. That is it.
So I'm guessing that some people listening are like, well, that sounds great, Michael and Elaine, but I'm really not feeling quite so wonderful about my goal right now. How can I feel that exhilaration I get when I achieve my goal? How can I feel that right now today?
It then takes the willingness to love yourself right where you are. Maybe you're feeling like, oh man, I just experienced a failure. Something didn't at all go the way that I wanted. This thing isn't moving forward very fast. If we're wise and curious, we can look upon any challenge or failure point and realize it. It helped us course correct. That's all. It helped us course correct. It gave us an opportunity to try something else. And so failures or delays are only failures or delays as long as we frame them that way and see that there isn't, something valuable going on anyway. So we're called to love ourselves right where we are. If we're having feelings of challenge or pain or resistance, I truly believe that if we're willing to, I would even call it befriend those aspects of our being, we'll shift into this place where things then to flow easier. I truly believe that love is the greatest healer. In the coaching work of mine, which is now emerging and getting ready to launch, it's exactly those kinds of processes, helping people envision and feel into, in their whole body, all these aspects of what the goal achievement or success would feel like. See where they are. Make the choice when they're ready, to embody those more helpful, expansive feelings, but also bring love and meet those feelings of resistance and challenge and even pain that's been long stomped down. And when we do that, it's amazing how that willingness to just greet everything can help us flow forward and indeed, no matter what we're doing, be a healing presence in the world. I think that's why we're on the planet today. I think that's why we actually have, in our political arena, in our ecological arena, so many things showing up that look like they're falling apart, they're distressed, they're negative. And so we're called to ask ourselves, how can I be helpful here? How can I bring a healing presence? And how can I stand in my deepest place of truth so that I don't feel like I have to be reactive? I can stand in that highest place of wisdom, safety, and as some spiritual traditions even call, a place of defenselessness, because we truly can be receiving everything we think we need. We simply have to stay curious and let it in so we can extend that love, that assistance, that good stuff.
I think that is a very good way to be in our businesses every day, both for ourselves and for all the people we work with. What an inspirational leader we can be when we do that.
So for myself, Michael, I'm launching a new coaching practice, but I will be paying attention to see how that expands to serving groups, to see whether fresh opportunities emerge for me to speak in other arenas. I mean, I have a lot of things in my skill set, but, I know that for where I am right now, I have a sense that for the next couple months, year, it's kind of going to look like this one-on-one coaching. But as I stand in this place of safety in this rather dramatic world, the truth is I don't know what form I will be called to serve in. And one of the things that I really have owned is the form of I don't really have to stay attached to the form my service emerges in. I trust that it will always be emerging in the perfect form. And it may well shift from one form to another. And if I am willing to stay in a place of, I'll call it abundance consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness, then I'll always be at the right place and the right time delivering something of value. Helpful.
That is so inspiring. Well, I really appreciate you being with us today, Elaine. And, you've shared so many interesting insights.
I thank you. I enjoyed the experience as well, and look forward to other conversations with you as well in a variety of places and forums.
Get strategies and show notes at intuitiveleadershipmastery.com. What would it take to see you here next time on the Intuitive Leadership Mastery Podcast?